Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal program.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep, put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
Hey folks, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here at Watchtower Firearms. This is the custom design AR-15 that was just made for me. It's got my Steadfast and Loyal logo there. On this side, you can see my signature, my master parachutist wings, of course, American flag. And I just want to tell you that you can't be a great American unless you have a great American weapon. And that's exactly what Watchtower Firearms is building. Great American weapons, all American parts, manufactured right here in the great state of Texas. And oh, by the way, let me see, where is the serial number on this one? TX1836. If you're from Texas, I think you know what that means. God bless you. God bless Watchtower.
Hit, dead center. Yes.
Hey, greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Steadfast and Loyal program, the fourth segment of this episode. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here. You know, there's a lot of things that have been going on and happening to our former members of our military that maybe at times makes them question the oath that they took. We know that now we're going to see maybe some 8,000 members of our military who were sent home because their refusal to take the COVID shot. That has been overturned by executive order with a new commander in chief. So I want to have a conversation with a veteran who kind of ran into a little bit of a difficulty, but yet he has taken that to create a documentary using some humor to once again talk about how we as members of the military, the oath that we took to support and defend the Constitution, even though sometimes those constitutional rights, freedoms, and liberties may be restricted to us, we must continue to honor that oath. And I'm talking about Glenn Baker. Glenn Baker is a combat veteran, country music singer, and now a documentarian. Driven by an unwavering determination, Glenn confronts the systemic injustices he faced, the very system he once vowed to protect and will continue to protect. Despite facing profound challenges, including a threat to his vision, he embarks on a cross-country mission to seek real solutions to today's pressing issues. Follow his journey with a little humor, some incredible insight, and some amazing patriots that have jumped on board while Glenn encourages the nation to finish the fight. And what is that fight? Glenn Baker joins us, and he'll tell us what that fight is. Glenn, how are you doing, sir?
Colonel West, it's an honor to see you again, young man. I'm doing fantastic, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that since I just had a birthday. So it's always good to hear young man when you just had a birthday that puts you closer to Medicare.
My gosh. And you've got a country music singer on, so let's do this. Happy birthday to you.
Uh-oh.
That's just the abbreviated version because we don't have a lot of time.
Well, you know, when I was in Congress, they would sing to you, "This is your birthday song. It does not last too long." Hey, so let's get on with this interview here. And let's talk about you, your background, what inspired you to join the military in the first place.
Well, I grew up in a small town in Northeast Oklahoma, grew up in a very Christian conservative community and a very Christian home. In fact, my parents may be the most godly people that I know. So I was introduced to work. I was introduced to Christ at a young age. I was introduced to my patriotic family that loved our country. My dad served. He said he probably served more time in the brig than he did on the line, but yeah, he loved his country. And so that's just the way I grew up, brother. It was God, country, family, and let's just get it on. Whatever we get in front of us, let's go do it. I had a chance.
Now you were
Sure.
a soldier in the Army, correct?
Yeah, I joined the military in 1988. I was 20 years old,
Hmm.
had been married for a year. And realistically, it was kind of a wild hair. I felt like I needed to do it and I just didn't question it. And I did. And when I went into the military, I found something that I was pretty good at right away. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, you're kind of familiar with that. That's where I went
Absolutely.
to AIT. Had a chance to go through that and did pretty well. Actually graduated as distinguished honor graduate out of AIT. Had a unique opportunity. I had a letter of recommendation from my battery commander directly out of basic training in AIT to go to OCS.
Wow.
And I didn't do that right away. I did go to OCS a year or so later. Was just getting started when Desert Storm happened. So we got the call November the 15th, 1990. I dropped out of my OCS commitment to go with my boys and ended up in the desert and did what we're supposed to do. You know, it was a quick battle. It was in and out. We were there for 8 months. I could say I was probably more bored than scared most of the time because there was a lot of hurry up and wait. But we did what we were supposed to do and came home and ended up going to work and just doing my thing for the next 27 years. And then my life changed.
Let's talk about that because that really is the basis of your documentary. If you could give us that Cliff Notes version of the incident that happened that put you on a different course of life.
Yeah, I had come out of Desert Storm, felt like God had a calling on me. I ended up working with my father in business and singing. Did that for about 10 years, went through a divorce, put my mic down, didn't think I'd ever sing again. 2017, after 17 years of not singing and building a business, I got a knock on my door. And that afternoon, there was 10 cops and a SWAT team there, Colonel, and it ended up taking me to a jail cell in Fort Lauderdale. I spent 23 days in Broward County Jail. Didn't have the chance to see an attorney. Wouldn't let me access a cell phone to call anybody. Nobody knew where I was at. Kids thought I'd died. Was taken to North Carolina, where I finally found out what it was. A former business partner that I'd had for a couple of years had embezzled $22,000 from a client that I'd given him when I exited the company. Actually, 7 months after I exited the company, it happened, and he'd blamed me. And they believed him. And unfortunately, it's a kind of a scar on some of the church. It was a former pastor, 49 years in the pulpit, 25 years on TV, and he was very good at what he did. 3 years later, I was arrested. I spent 73 days in two separate jail cells. I lost my home, my car, 80% of my life insurance business. And the night after I got home, an infection I'd caught in that jail cell that went untreated went into my right eye and destroyed my cornea. I'll never be the same from that, but God has used that in some tremendous ways.
Well, of course, because you choose to be a victor or a victim in life. And, that which does not kill us can indeed, as Nietzsche said, serve to make us stronger. But how did you feel, having served in military, having served in combat, and now all of a sudden this whole thing about due process and what have you, you saw it not being applied to you?
I did. And I'm going to tell you, for about a year after I got out, I didn't care whether I lived or died. God opened my eyes up about a year later, brought me back into music, and I actually opened my eyes up to realize this is not the country that I fought for. Now, with that being said, that's a powerful statement. What do I do about it? Do I sit around and whine, or do I get up and do something? And I went back into music after being out for a very long time, started writing some patriotic songs, God and country, thinking that's what I'm supposed to do, is sing about this and make some people aware. And I did that for a few years until I was in Georgia this last year filming the music video for a song I'd written called Finish This Fight. It's about two young men joining the military, go to war together, one dies. It's a tough song. But while I was there, God whispered to me, I want you to do a film. I want you to film a movie. And didn't really know what it was going to be about other than my story. But from that point out, July the 22nd, 90 days later, we had a full-length feature film. And that's when I had the chance to meet you and talk to you about your story and several others. Colonel Ivan Raiklen, Craig Sawyer, that has Veterans for Child Rescue.
Yep, Sawman.
Yeah, the Sawman. He's a great dude, too. I mean, a God-loving, good man. John Teagan from the Benghazi debacle. Colonel Ivan Raiklen, the Deep State Marauder. A lot of soldiers that felt the same way that I do. And so we were able to put a story together about where are we as a country? How did we get here? And what can we do to fix the problem? And I think
There's a great quote from Thomas Paine. He said that the one thing that a true patriot is, the duty of a true patriot is to protect his country from its government. And I think that that's what you're talking about when you mentioned finish the fight. And really, that was a sentiment that you have seen take over this country coming out of this previous administration. What do you sense? What do you feel as you travel around America and you see other individuals? What do you get about America? Where are we now, you think?
I am cautiously optimistic of where we are right now and where we're going. For the longest time, it seemed like a tough battle. Like we were out here kind of on an island, different people battling, but not coming together. But I do feel like there's an awakening of folks in America that want what we've been missing for a while. And we don't want to go back and take the bad stuff that's been part of this country. But there was a time when this country was really good. This Make America Great Again that everybody's chanting. I don't know that I'm a great big, hey, I'm a MAGA guy, but I understand the sentiment behind it. When I was a child, go outside and play until the lights came on and nobody worried about being abducted and your kids not coming home. There's some greatness that we're missing in our country and in our world now. And I feel like people are waking up enough and getting involved enough that they want to be a part of the change. And that's encouraging to me.
So tell us a little bit about the documentary, the title of it, where people can download it, and what's the purpose? What are the proceeds from the documentary? What's it really going towards?
Well, the title of the film is Finish This Fight, Diary of a Pissed Off American Soldier. That's a little crass. But the reason I use that title is because I want to encourage people that may not normally dial in and see what's going on in our country, but that title is intriguing. Why is this guy pissed off? So we use that title. And again, it's got several different veterans that are involved telling different stories with leading to the same result, is bringing our country back to some greatness again. So it's at finishthisfight.us. That's finishthisfight.us. And 50% of the profit of this documentary and the foundation that I'm building is going towards helping wounded veterans. And I actually have one picked out, Colonel West, and you met a young man named Joshua Holm about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. At that time, he was still able to walk with the help of steel braces. 2 years ago, working on his ranch in Mineral Wells that he's building to help wounded veterans to heal, he turned wrong. Something snapped in his back, and he's now paralyzed from the chest down. So we're going to purchase an exoskeleton for this young man and get him back on his feet. And that's just the first of many things that we want to do to help our veterans, because guess what? A lot of veterans still feel left behind.
When you talk about veterans feeling left behind, I think one of the great things is, veterans going out there and helping other veterans. If there is something that you would like people to have as a takeaway from your documentary, what would be that one or two things?
I think there's two things involved. You said something very profound when I visited with you in Dallas last summer. And you said just because us veterans are not wearing a uniform any longer does not mean that the heart of the warrior has gone away. That stuck with me. But what I learned through the filming process of this movie is there are a lot of soldiers in this country right now that never put a uniform on. And just because you've never worn a uniform doesn't mean you don't need to get involved, whether it's a local level or whatever your capabilities are. Get involved with being a part of the change, not sitting on the couch, typing on your keyboard and complaining about what our government does or doesn't do. Change starts with me, and change starts with you. And once we catch on fire, people will come from miles around to watch us burn.
Once again, can you remind people of how they can download the documentary and what the purpose and what the proceeds are going towards? And how can people follow you, Glenn?
Absolutely. My website for my music, my social media is Glenn Baker USA. That's Glenn with two N's, Glenn Baker USA. You'll find everything you need to know about me. But go to the movie, finishthisfight.us, We've built our own platform. We're not on YouTube or any of these others that can take it away if it gets too conservative. We've built our own platform. You buy the movie for $10.99. You own it from now on. It's not a rental. You can watch it as many times as you want to, show it to whoever you want. $10.99, 50% of those profits will go to put an exoskeleton on a paralyzed veteran named Joshua Holm. And we need a lot of your $10.99.
Well, thank you so much, Glenn Baker, for your service and your continued service to these great United States of America and also to your brother veterans. God be with you, and thanks for being on with us here at the Steadfast and Loyal program.
Colonel West, it's always an honor to meet you again, sir, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this episode of the Steadfast and Loyal program. Please continue to join us and follow us on the respective platforms out there, being also YouTube, Rumble, and what have you. Until next time, please remain steadfast and loyal.
Before they burn it down.